The date today is March 10, 2014. The time is 5:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Paris City Council, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. As usual, we will start with invocation, which is going to be led by Pastor Coyle, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Dr. Grossnickel. If I can ask everyone to please stand.
Good evening. Will you pray with me? Beautiful Creator, thank you for the gift of this beautiful day and the amazing gift of all your creation, which you provide for us and entrust to us. Thank you for this little piece of creation here in Paris, where you have gathered us into community and given us privileges that are unimagined by so many of your people who live in so many places across this globe. We are grateful for your gifts and humbled by the responsibility they give us to care for your creation, to care for our community, to care for one another. So give us wisdom and compassion to live up to this responsibility. Give us ears to hear, eyes to see, minds to discern, and hearts to care about what is true and good and just, and to care about one another more than we care about ourselves. We ask this as we live, by your grace and in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Coyle, thank you. That was beautiful. Item number 4 on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the council, council members or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. If you want to address, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ray Banks. I live at 3450 Robin Road, Paris, Texas. I have before me a statement I'm reading from Don Taylor. I want to thank Mr. Banks for reading this at the appropriate time, as I am not available tonight to speak in person. I know that the subject tonight has, and will cause a lot of talk in town. It appears we cannot escape controversy at every corner, but until the people we choose, whether they be hired or appointed by you, choose to use better judgment over their own agendas, we will always have our PEDC being watched closely and their decisions scrutinized. Besides what has been called to your attention in the past months regarding possible financial improprieties, tonight before you are what may be questionably actions on behalf of past PEDC boards. Specifically, I'm referring to item number 11 on tonight's agenda. According to documents, it appears that our PEDC agreed to be a collection agent for a $5,800,000 loan and has created an incentive package for Rogers Wade that was negotiated by an attorney on behalf of Rogers Wade and the City of Paris mayor, who were one and the same. Besides myself, I know there are several people doing their own investigations into actions of the PEDC, and each has possibly convincing proof of questionable dealings. Hence, I call upon you to ask for an independent investigation by the Texas Rangers or equivalent law enforcement source for improprieties possible forensic in nature. Respectfully, Don B. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Banks.
My name is Robert Zimmerman. I have several businesses in this town and own about 5 or 7 lots in this town.
Address, please.
1110 East Austin Street, Paris, Texas 75460. I appreciate the opportunity to address you guys today. My concern is with the rights that we enjoy as citizens of the United States. Tonight, the entire responsibility of how Paris, Texas is going to view individual rights comes to you. You have a committee recommendation pending, and the committee meeting that just happened was very entertaining. But that decision and responsibility comes to you, not to the committee. You decide if everybody has rights in this town or not. In the event that you decide to take the responsibility for the health and well-being of all of our citizens, I think you should know that you open Pandora's box with this. There are many chemicals that you're exposed to every day. Time magazine last week listed 10 of them that you would probably find in this room or this building right now. I don't feel that you can address one and ignore the rest, so you are opening up a huge amount of work, huge amount of discussion, and exposing your city to liability. Removing the environmental toxins from the public areas will incur a great expense that we will have to bear as citizens of this state or of this town. These are some of the unforeseen consequences of this policy that y'all are embarking on. The other alternative is to kill the policy now. And by doing this, you allow the free market to decide the policies on toxic chemicals. As citizens, if you don't like what's in your restaurant, don't go there. Let the establishments know that you would patronize them if they were non-smoking, and let them make their own decision. It is not our government's job to be our parents. Citizens have a responsibility to make good decisions for themselves. As of this moment, we have the right to pick the venues for our own dining, and we have the responsibility to choose our own foods and stay healthy. What if the next Socrates group decides to incite a ban on trans fats or food additives? And if you are setting the standard here today, this is the standard that you'll have to apply everywhere. Where do you stop? Thank you.
Thank you for coming to us, Zimmerman.
Hi there. You know what I'm going to say. My name is Rachel Kame. I'm at 10900 Stone Lake Boulevard. I'm with the American Heart Association. I also represent the Smoke Free Texas Coalition, which includes the American Lung Association and the American Cancer Society, Live Strong, and the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. And I'd like to applaud the Socrates Club and all that they've done. Lamar County is ranked 183 out of 232 counties in terms of healthy communities. You're in the bottom 25%. The year before that, you were in the bottom 30%. So you're going down in terms of your healthy community. I'd like to speak for people who work in bars, because those are the people that will be excluded from this ordinance. And a true public health impact cannot be felt unless 100% of workplaces are covered. So I'd just like to read 3 facts to you. Bar employees' exposure to secondhand smoke is 4 to 6 times higher than other food service workers. And bartenders have rates of lung cancer that are higher than coal miners. Just ponder on that one for a second. Working 1 8-hour shift in a smoke-filled bar is equivalent to actively smoking nearly 1 pack of cigarettes. Yes, we have rights. We have individual rights. I have the right to breathe smoke-free air, as does everyone else in Texas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Jackie Alsobrook, and I live at 4135 Misty Lane in Paris. And I'm here again to talk about Lake Crook. I came here 2 weeks ago only to run headlong into the smoke, no smoke controversy, and was told Dr. Swint would make his presentation last week, which he did. And I feel very strongly that we should keep Lake Crook as a part of the city of Paris. And Richard and Susan's generous donation of $100,000 be used not as a major resort, but keep it in the city of Paris, keep ownership there. I remember I think it was 2001, there was some talk of developing Lake Crook, and a survey showed 87% of the people did not want that done. Richard's presentation would include the city building something like 40 modest cabins, much like Beaver's Bend. I would urge the council, I was very disappointed that none of you asked any questions of Dr. Swint, as though your minds were already made up. I would urge that a vote of the people be taken before further action is done on this development. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And just so that you know, Ms. Alsobrook, I am going to make a presentation about it. Anybody else wanting to speak in the Citizens Forum?
My name is James Miller. I live at 2350 Briarwood Street. As sixth graders, we have learned the importance of choosing good city council members like you. Please vote for a non-smoking ordinance. Do the right thing for Paris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Robert Mosley, 3915 Shannon Drive, Paris, Texas. Basically talking about the PEDC.
Dr. Mosley, can I ask you to bring the mic a little closer?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, please.
I've heard the PEDC has spent between $22 and $35 million. A couple of years ago, I was at the Proper Motor Club Owner Association. 4 of the members there had said they had traveled to Paris to look at building factories here. All 4 had chosen other cities. There was one member that said he looked at Paris and helped bring the Kimberly-Clark here in Paris. So I assume these were pretty large factories that were looking here. I don't know if we keep a record of people that come, and I asked them straight on, why didn't you come to Paris? And they wouldn't give me an answer. So I don't know if the other towns are offering better deals or what, but I think, you know, something needs to be looked into that, because someone takes the trouble to fly from up north down here to Paris, Texas, to look at building a plant. I think we need to really look and see when they're leaving. I'm also in the amusement business. Basically, when you cut out smoking in bars, there's usually a 30 to 40% drop in income. The only way you can usually do that is make it countywide and stuff like that. I'm against smoking, but at the same time, I'm very big on freedom. And the only thing I would say is, I think the bowling alley is, you know, we only got one bowling alley in the city of Paris. So, you know, I think something needs to be done there. But the few restaurants that you smoke at, I choose mainly to go to the ones that don't have smoking, and we do have a freedom of choice.
Thank you for coming, Dr. Mosley.
My name is Jim Bell, and I reside at 720 39th Southeast in Paris. And I am not privy to the latest copy of the no smoking ordinance. I commend the council for coming up with it. I think it's a very good step in the right direction. A couple of points I saw on one of the copies was that, like apartment complexes, all of our apartment complexes are non-smoking, but you can't get 100 feet away from any building. Matter of fact, it'd be hard to get 35 feet away from a building that is designated non-smoking. We as owners are not going to be in a position to be able to enforce the ordinance. And then we're going to have citizens, which creates conflicts between 2 adjoining property or apartment tenants. And it becomes an impossible ordinance to have enforced, either by the owners or tenants. There are things that we would need in the apartment complexes to be allowed to designate smoking areas, let people moving in know where they are, ask them to use those, and if they don't, then we have some enforcement rights. But it's to try to enforce the ordinance as it is as an owner, we're going to end up losing tenants. We're going to have to force tenants out. We would have to do that to comply, and it's going to be something we could not comply with. I'd like for some thought to be put into the fact that designated, in any property, have a designated smoking area, be it a bar, outside. I'm talking about, I want it outside. That's my idea. But bars, restaurants, apartment complexes, if you have designated smoking areas and people want to avoid them, they can avoid them. I wish we could get everybody to stop smoking, but we're not going to legislate away smoking or drinking, and apparently not drug use, and any number of other illicit things that you just can't legislate but so far. Thank you.
Mr. Bell, just so that you know, I think your points will probably be addressed in just a few minutes when the thing comes up, because they were discussed in the meeting just about half hour ago.
Okay.
And hopefully you'll be satisfied with that.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Taylor White, and I live at 351 30th Street Northeast. And I would just like to let you know, I am part of Operation Tobacco No with Deb Fleming's group. And 995,000 children are exposed to secondhand smoke in their own homes. So children like me are being affected, and I don't feel like that's a very healthy lifestyle. And so I just hope that y'all do the right thing and try and pass this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If that is it and there is nobody else wanting to speak, the Citizens Forum is now closed. We'll move to the next agenda item. The next agenda item is the consent agenda. Do any of the council members have any questions on the consent agenda? Ms. Drake?
No, sir.
Mr. Frierson?
No.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No, sir.
Mr. Jenkins?
No
I'm
questions.
sorry, Ms. Lancaster?
No,
This is the second time I've done that. I'm sorry.
I must be losing weight.
Mr. Jenkins?
No questions.
And Mr. Wright?
No questions.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. We move on to the regular agenda, item number 8. Discuss and consider awarding bids for cutting and removing hanging limbs and trees and authorize the use of unbudgeted reserves for the said purpose. Mr. Godwin will explain this item.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned in the memo that you received last Friday or Thursday, we've been cutting high hanging limbs, hangers we call them. And it's not a matter of aesthetics, it's a matter of public safety, because these limbs are in some cases pretty large. And if they fall from a distance of 40 or 50 feet or more, they can really cause damage either to property or to human life. And so we've been trying to get those as we go. It's just not going to be practical for us to get those in a timely manner on an in-house basis. We also have limitations with the size of our particular bucket truck. And so we did bid this out over the last couple of weeks. We did not get but 2 bids. That didn't surprise us a lot, because of a lot of the folks that we talked to, the large companies from out of state, for example, had already moved on to some storm they had in South Carolina, so they weren't interested. And some of the smaller, more local companies were not able to do it. The 2 we did get bids from included TNT, which is already in town. They bid very high, significantly higher than what we anticipated. And then the other vendor that bid was Ray's Tree Service. It's a local company that we have used in the past and that we've been very satisfied with. That bid was for $170,000 to do each of 6 sections in town. There are many hundreds of trees. This is an average cost of about $37 per tree, which is a per tree basis a really good price. Unfortunately, there are a lot of trees, and we don't have any really good alternative to taking care of this, again, because it's a public safety issue.
So your suggestion is?
We recommend approval of an award of bid for 170 to Raise Tree Service.
Okay. Ms. Drake?
And this would be to cover all the right-of-ways.
All city-owned rights-of-ways and easements, so that includes alleys, sidewalks, streets, anything in the public, the city is responsible for.
Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. Frierson?
John, what will this bring the total to as far as cleanup?
It's going to be about $500,000. Now, along those lines, the state is in the process, the State Department of Emergency Management is in the process of putting together an appeal. We have submitted new numbers to them, met with them last week, and they increased the amount on our account, so to speak, by about $350,000. We're hoping enough cities and counties in the area are able to justify that as well, but we're still, frankly, not enthusiastic about whether we're going to get anything from FEMA or not, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed on that part of it.
Okay, thanks.
Dr. Grossnickel?
John, this does not include private property.
No, this is strictly the public easements and rights of way and city property.
Okay. I sure am really choking on that figure, but I don't know that we have any choice.
I know the feeling. It was it's a huge number, but I don't know any other alternative we have, because you just can't take a chance on something hitting somebody or tearing something up.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lancaster?
I noticed that we were still cleaning up piles along roads as late as yesterday.
Right. TNT finished their first round last week, which is about a week and a half later than they had estimated, but they did start their second round. It's our intention to stop them at 2 rounds. And so we're encouraging folks to get your stuff out there now. We're hoping to cut them off at the end of this week. We may go a couple of days next week, but if it's not pulled out there now, it's not going to get picked up. Obviously, we're going to go on private property to do that. So now, and I say they finished their first round. There are still a few places that got left behind on purpose or accidentally. And so if you got skipped, if you put it out a month ago and you got skipped, please let us know so we can make sure that they get out there. And there's a few places like that. Sometimes they had a good reason, sometimes they didn't. But either way, it needs to get picked up. But for the most part, they think they've gone down every street in town once, and they're making the second round. Started last Friday on the second round.
Right. Well, these trucks that I noted, and I spoke with some of the workers, were not their trucks, they were ours. And they were carrying some pretty heavy loads.
Yeah, we still have, we have one brush truck that the city operates. Mm-hmm. Normally, one truck a year is enough, especially in the springtime, and you can have them come by. Yep. And that's what we'll do. If you put it out this summer, we can still pick it up. It'll just be slow, and I think they charge you $20 a load or something like that. But
some of these were smaller trucks, but one of them was that great big truck with the big hand.
Right. Yeah, the grapple. We do have that. We do have the one brush truck.
Right, and the trees they were picking up were every bit this big around.
Yeah, we had the ability to do that in-house. It just would have taken us about 3 years to get it done. So, and again, we've cut a lot of the limbs. And our parks department has a bucket truck. It's just not high enough to reach the really tall limbs. So we can do a lot. We just can't do it all.
So we still have all of her trucks here, or has she sent some of them away?
I think they're all still here. Bill, are you in the audience, or is Tara in the audience?
That's not true.
The last I heard, they were still here. They were all still here last weekend, so I assume they still are. But we need that to go away the next week or two.
Mr. Jenkins?
What are we doing about the vacant lots in the back of people's houses?
Well, we can't work on private property. The next issue coming up will be people who either don't or can't clean up their own property at some point because of fire issues with the vermin. We'll start issuing code letters to people, which that'll make us the bad guy. You're having a hard time cleaning up your lot because of a big storm, and we're going to send you a letter saying you better clean it up. So that's our next issue coming up. We'll try to delay that as much as possible, give people as much time as possible, but there's a lot of lots that are really bad. Again, some people just choose not to, some people can't afford to, some people aren't physically able to, so we'll try to work with those people best we can, but we can't work on private property, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for the money's sake. But.
Mr. Wright?
I have two questions. One is, if there's going to be a shut-off date, don't you think it ought to be announced in advance so people know that they need to get their stuff out there?
Yes.
The second question is, does the tree have to be in the right-of-way, or does the extending branches of the tree in the right-of-way for it to qualify for the hanging limbs?
It needs to be our tree and on our right-of-way or easement, so.
The tree has to be, not the overhanging limbs.
One or the other needs to be. If it's our tree, then it's our responsibility. If the limb is in our right-of-way so that it'll fall on a sidewalk or a street, we'll do that as well, whether it's a private tree or not. And then, not that you asked, but on the, like piles, of course, we'll reach over onto the yard. We want the piles to be far enough away that we can reach them, but close enough that we can reach them, but far enough away that it doesn't cause traffic issues. And then back to your first question, we did put that on the website last week, that we're going to be trying to cut that off at the end of this week. We've also talked to the newspapers about that as well. So we're trying to get that word out.
I think more people get a message as to when the cutoff date is would be very helpful.
Sure. And so please help us, newspapers and so forth, that we are trying to cut that off this week, at the end of this week. That's our goal, so.
I don't have any questions.
I have another, maybe not a question, maybe a comment, what Aaron brought up as far as private property and people not being able to afford it and everything. I know in the spring we always have the Keep Paris Beautiful. Maybe between that and maybe some Boy Scouts, some church groups, maybe we could contact some of them to see about if people can't afford to do it or not physically able to do it themselves. I know when it first happened, a lot of people were out helping, but I've had a lot of people, their comments and concerns are, the stuff that's on the right of way, we're getting that picked up, but we still have a lot of lots and things that are, and it does make Paris look yuck.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
A suggestion.
We'll follow up on that, see if we can get, the LDS folks that helped us out in January, they said they would come back, for example, and I know the Baptist Men's Association and local churches as well, so we'll follow up on that, see if we can organize something. That's a good idea.
Well, with that said, as much as I think we hate to spend that money, I don't think one has much of a choice in this matter. So I'll make a motion that approve what John wants on this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Item number 9, right?
Yes, sir.
Receive update on hiring of a public works director. Ms. Drake, you had put it on the agenda?
Yes, I just wanted an update from the city manager, sort of where we're at on this. I have seen it posted, and I appreciate that. Just sort of maybe how many people have applied thus far. Maybe when you're looking at trying to do interviews, so we can sort of know where we're standing on all of this.
As of Friday, we had received 8, which is frankly quite a lot less than I thought we would get. It's been advertised tomorrow, Wednesday, I guess, will be 4 weeks. So we've received 8 so far. I've scanned all of those, haven't read them in detail. And as far as timeline, interview-wise, it kind of depends on, usually when you have especially a managerial position, you'll kind of have a lull with applicants coming in. And that's when you usually cut it off because we don't have a specific deadline on this. In this case, we've only gotten 8 so far, so I don't know if we need to go back and try to re-advertise it. We advertise, of course, locally. We also advertise in the Texas Municipal League. And usually you get a number of out-of-town candidates for that, and we got a few from out of town. So that's something we just got to, I think, reassess. Sandy Collard, our human resources manager, is on vacation part of this week. She's out today. Maybe she got half a dozen over the weekend. I don't know. There's often a lag of a couple of weeks, but like I said, it's been almost 4 weeks, and we only had 8 as of Friday. So I'm hesitant to tell you how long I think it'll be because, we only need one good applicant, one great applicant, but you want to make sure that you've beaten the bushes to give yourself as many opportunities as you can. So. We're hoping to do it pretty quickly, and there's no real good reason not to be able to do it pretty quickly. And the great person might be in the stack already, I just don't know yet.
Okay. I just sort of wanted an update as to where we were going and sort of what your timeline was so that hopefully we can get somebody on board before too long.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have just a quick question on this. Just eyeballing them, did you find anything interesting in the applicants that you have already received?
Yes.
And some of them are certainly that the ones that you can interview?
I believe so. And we have both internal and external candidates too, so.
That's fine.
So, yeah.
Anybody else has any questions on this? I'm not going to go individually, so just in general, anyone?
Yeah, any idea when you think you'll conclude that?
I think we'll see if we get any more applicants in the next week or two, and if we don't, then we'll just cut it off and interview 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these 8. Hopefully we'll get some more applicants, but we'll go with these if we need to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? No. Item number 10, discuss and possibly act on pursuing a historical marker for Coxfield Airport and restoration of the landscape. Ms. Lancaster requested this item. Ms. Lancaster, you want?
Yes, if we can have that. There we go. If you can look at the building that is our lobby, directly west of that is the shrubbery that spells out Paris. And that's been there for quite some time. Well, in looking through a lot of the history and pictures of Cox Field, we find that particular marker, and I don't know if it was put there for airplanes flying over to say, oh, that's Paris. I know they did that with some houses to kind of let people know. But in looking at also how old Cox Field is and what a wonderful history it has, it definitely has the age to qualify for a historical marker. And I asked the question why we hadn't had one, and I found that Dr. Hayden and Marvin Gorley had done quite a bit of work on it. As a matter of fact, all we have to do is refine it and submit it. So I would like to see us put a historical marker out there, one from the state, to commemorate that wonderful airfield. And that's my recommendation.
Anybody else?
What are we
Ms.
talking about cost-wise?
I think, depending on the markers, they run from $100 to $2,000. So I think you can get a very nice one for not that much money. And now the shrubs, I'm not sure about that. But I don't think those little shrubs spelling out Paris are going to be more than a couple of hundred.
So you're talking about replacing all of those shrubs that spell
Well, they're
out Paris?
gone.
Oh, they're gone. They're not there
Unfortunately,
anymore.
they're gone.
Okay. I guess I didn't
The space is there,
Okay.
but the shrubs are gone.
So this would be a self-generated historical marker, not like a Texas
No,
Highway
actually,
Department monitor,
it would be both.
marker?
It would be both. We
Just
could
have to
do
pay for it.
we could do the Paris in-house and just apply, and I have all of the paperwork, apply with the state for the marker.
Are there limitations that if you do pursue a historical marker, that if there are future renovations or developments, that you have certain guidelines you have to
Only
follow?
to the historical buildings.
So,
And
yes.
and there aren't any left of the buildings.
Okay, so this is really just a marker
Really
for the,
just a
for the
marker.
airfield itself.
Yeah, just a marker. Tell a little bit of the history, and you know, when I gave that presentation, a lot of people didn't realize all that about the airport. But this would be a little bit like the one over on by the depot, which gives a little history.
Okay.
Ms. Lancaster, I missed what was the cost involved?
Well, we can do the shrubs in-house.
Okay.
The space is already there. The marker itself can run as little as 100 and as much as 2,000. So I think we can stay very reasonable.
Anyone else has any questions of Ms. Lancaster?
Is the circular area still there?
It's all still there.
And the drive, it's not affected, it's just a new building in
It's
front of it?
just a new building in front of it.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
Well, I'll make, if nobody has any questions, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, the motion carries. Item number 11, discuss and act on an anonymous letter received with documentation by the mayor and passed to the city council members alleging misconduct at the PEDC. This item was placed by me on the agenda. I'm going to read a little short note that I've written. Last September, Mrs. Rebecca Clifford and Mr. Bill Stratton separately made presentations to the City Council accusing PEDC of suspected illegal activity as well as incomplete and sloppy financial oversight, amongst other things. Recently, the council received an anonymous letter with documentation accusing the PEDC of working with a local company to collateralize a loan of $5.8 million with insufficient value of the loan security of $43,970. In summary, it is accused that the company in Paris received a loan of $5.8 million from a bank that we, the city, guaranteed, or the PEDC guaranteed, against a property valued at approximately $44,000 in the year 2010. There may be a problem of the loan security or the appraised tax value of both. It also says, the letter states, that there may be a conflict of interest between the city council member negotiating the incentive agreement with the PEDC on behalf of the related company. These accusations by 3 different sources compel the council to take steps to investigate these alleged activities for the protection of the taxpayer as well as those accused. I have passed that envelope that I had received to all the council members. We had briefly discussed it as well. So that is why I've brought it in the open session today for people to know. I have come up with an idea and I'm going to make a motion, and if I don't have a second on this, there is nothing to discuss. If I get a second on this and then the council wants to take action and discuss it, I'll be glad to say that. But my feelings on this is that I would like to make a motion to ask the PEDC to conduct a forensic audit of the PEDC accounts by a source outside of Lamar County. If the council wants to favor it, first of all, I'd like to know, do I have a second for this motion?
I second it.
Open for, Mr. Freisen, open for discussion. I had to get a second because if we didn't have a second, there was nothing to really discuss. So please go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I do. And I guess my question is fairly simplistic. This is an anonymous letter. We have no idea the credibility of this. Someone chose to send a note that didn't even sign their name to, and they included partial information at best. And so to characterize this as something that the council needs to embrace, I think you're really in a treacherous area on anything that may come up for future items. And I guess that's the main thing that comes to me is I'm not real sure that this is the time or the place that we need to be addressing this.
Yeah, and I understand your concern completely. I had some of that concerns, as you know that yourself. But the problem, Mr. Freisen, that I feel at this point is that we have been given a letter and we have been given some documentation. May not be complete, may be incomplete, but the thing about it is that is why I think it needs to be investigated so that the issue is put to rest. And that is what we have talked about, transparency, and quite honestly, that's why I've brought it. There are multiple times, just like as Dr. Swint has said, he feels that we made the decisions or we decide things behind closed doors, and obviously that is not the case with Louis Crook when the presentation comes. And I would say the same thing, that in the best interest of keeping it transparent and making sure that the public realizes that we discuss all the matters very clearly, there is nothing hidden about it. That's why I would favor it. But I would open it for discussion amongst other council members. Whatever the council decides to do is fine with me.
Well, I guess, again, to be very simplistic about it, has anybody actually just asked the question? Like, I mean, this went through PEDC, it went through an attorney, it was passed, went through the city councils. Mr. Wright was a representative at the meetings. He obviously was aware of it and didn't raise a flag at that point. So I guess I'm confused as the independent audit. In all honesty, that's essentially what PEDC's been doing for the last year, is auditing themselves. And this agreement has been on the books and has been fruitful for the citizens of Paris and Lamar County. It's a job creator, and they're living up to that. So I don't know that an entire audit and the expense and, quite honestly, the notoriety of it is valid.
As I said, the council can discuss and decide. I'll open the discussion. Mr. Wright, you have anything to say?
I was a liaison at that time. I was a non-voter, as all liaisons are. I was just in the room at the time.
Okay.
But John, I don't mean to interject too much, but did you see any issues with it at the time?
I don't enter into discussion down there as much as other liaisons have.
Well, that wasn't my question, though. I mean, if you had the responsibility to report back to the council, was there anything that raised a red flag at that time?
Well, the council gets a minute, so they could determine themselves.
So no, there wasn't an issue that, I mean, I guess I'm just confused because this comes up after an anonymous letter, and I mean, I just wondered if there was any discussion. I wasn't on the council at that time.
I was a liaison, so was Edwin Pickle, and he didn't raise any questions either.
Okay, well, but I mean...
Neither one of us did.
Okay.
Because we're only there as liaisons, and we're not voters.
Well, I understand that.
You should know that because you're a liaison.
Yes, and I've been there when you've had the discussion and been involved in it. So I'm just asking a question since you were there.
Ms. Drake?
Well, I too am a little concerned about, I'm on the fence on this. I don't like receiving anonymous things from people, but I also can understand why people sometimes do it due to the fact of having been in the state and having been in the criminal justice field, that a lot of times people worry about retaliation if they come forward and let people know who they are. I think as public servants, we have a duty that when we get information like this, that we need to look at it because people have put their trust in us. And I know as myself, if I was going to be looking at possibly being taking Steve's place down there, I would want to know everything was up above board. And I'm not saying everything isn't. I'm not saying that. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But this is now 3 different sources that we've gotten information about some questionable things with the PEDC. And yes, this was 4 years ago. Maybe it should have come up before now, but evidently it hasn't, and now it has come to our attention. My thing is, I just want it cleared up and over with one way or the other, so PEDC can go forward, the City of Paris can go forward, and we can have a clean slate and quit having these issues coming before us every couple of months.
Mr. Franklin, let me just go around and then I'll get back to you. Dr. Grossnickel?
Well, I think that this is incomplete information. There's no real copy of the actual bank note, and it really doesn't list that perhaps, to my knowledge, I've been told, and I'm not saying who, but I've been told that there was more to guarantee that loan than just this one property. And I don't know that that's true or not, but it seems like before we hire an auditor to do that, it seems like the PEDC could ask some questions of the participants and find out if that is the only, security given for that loan. Because I would think that bank was pretty generous, to allow them to only pledge that much property for that much of a loan, even with a PEDC guarantee, which is sort of a stopgap, last gap measure. So I don't know that we need to. I'm not trying to hide anything. I think that Harrison Walker Harper and their various businesses have done a lot for the community, and that's good. But I think we can handle this more in-house with the PEDC and let them find out what all was pledged for that loan.
Ms. Lancaster?
Well, there's 2 things about it. One, I really don't like anonymous letters. I think if it's important enough for you to push it forward, you need to try to put your name on it. On the other hand, there's documentation, and maybe it's not complete. Maybe some way we can get PEDC to give us those parts that make it complete and make us all comfortable that it was a deal well secured and not a problem. So I'm looking at it two different ways. I still would like to see PEDC bring forth any further guarantee that they might have had, and then that would put the whole thing to rest.
Mr. Jenkins?
I'm pretty uncomfortable with it right now. And there's good points between Mr. Frierson and everyone else, but right now I'm in between, so I just need a little bit more time to think about it.
Okay. Mr. Frierson, back to you. You had some comments.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the thing that's kind of troubling me is with this particular issue, Mike Anders is actually out in the crowd, so if we'd like to ask him, I'm sure he could probably explain it. But from just a quick, I took 5 minutes today, those group of properties down there, they're on the tax roll. And again, I didn't even do them all. I just took 5 minutes, and it's well in excess of $3 million on taxable value down there. I mean, so that's leads me to believe that there's more than just that $143,000 piece of property that is kind of a park. And Dr. Grossnickel brought up a really good point that, you know, banks are under pretty tight scrutiny and regulation. So to think that that would exist would be kind of difficult for me to believe. So if the issue is this particular incentive agreement, I just think some very simple questions could be asked and could be answered pretty quick. You know, that's just my thought on it. I'm troubled to think that we want to create a level of, well, any more discord as far as people that have shown they want to be in Paris, they desire to keep people employed, and yet we're going to second guess them at every turn whenever this passed through multiple levels. They have made a name for themselves in Paris and have continued to develop and try to employ people in Lamar County. So to tear them down over partial information, I really have a hard time with that.
Well, first of all, I would like to clarify one thing. Really, the purpose is not to tear anyone down. That's number one.
Okay.
The intention is not to tear anyone down. I think this is just an accusation on part of a letter with some supporting documentation, maybe incomplete. And so the intention is definitely not, if you would notice, I did not take any names even in this, partly because of the fact that it's not my idea to tear people down or anything like that. But by the same token, somebody has written a letter and somebody has provided some documentation. And so that is why I have put it on the agenda. That's why I've made the motion. I understand your concerns completely. I understand what Dr. Grossnickel is saying. But since I've made the motion, I'm going to take a vote on this. If the motion fails, then whatever we can discuss and decide where we go with. Ms. Drake.
Did I see Ms. Clifford here? Now I've already forgot my train of thought. Just a minute. Let me think.
Take your time.
I didn't write it down. Just a fuel for thought. Is there any way that Ms. Clifford or her staff, or not her staff, but her board and Shannon, because I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, and I don't think that's what I have done by my statements earlier, to look to see if there is any further documentation to support or not support this information that has been brought to us, and then maybe come back, and if she hasn't found anything else, then we could go forward. If she has found something else, we could go forward. And I don't know, that's just it's just out there for
Well, I
for thought.
appreciate your comments. Mr. Wright, you want to say?
I'm not pointing the finger of accusation at nobody, but we do know there's some questionable activity that has happened at PEDC, and none of us can deny that. And based on that, I don't think it hurts to have a look. And the people that are innocent certainly need their name cleared.
I agree.
I would want mine cleared.
Well, I have a motion on the table. I'm going to take a vote on it, and then if it fails, then we can discuss further at what action to take beyond that. So if I can I'll repeat my motion. I'd like to make a motion to ask the PDC to conduct a forensic audit of the PDC accounts by a source outside of Lamar County. That's my motion. You have seconded. All in favor of it?
Aye.
Aye. Please raise your hand so that it becomes clear. All opposed? So 4-3. Motion carries. Item number 12 is discuss and act on an ordinance amending and relating Article 3 smoking regulations of Chapter 17 of Code of Ordinances prohibiting smoking in public places. I'm going to ask the two gentlemen who were part of the discussion to please come forward, Mr. Kudenrod and Jeff Martin. I have a series of questions, and then first of all, would you please describe your role and your role?
Mr. Mayor, Council, my role was to serve as the chair for the subcommittee on the task force that initially opposed the ordinance.
And I'm standing in for Dr. Green. She was the chairman for the...
Mike, please.
Dr. Green was the chairman for the pro-ordinance side of the committee, and I'm standing in for her.
Okay. Last week, not last week, but the last council meeting, the council had given tentative directions to the city attorney to send you people the ordinance and to review it and to bring back after a mutual consensus agreement between the two groups of what you wanted. Have you reached that consensus?
Yes, sir.
Is it acceptable to all of you? Both sides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to point out the salient features of corrections that you want so that the council is aware of it?
Yes, we will, Mayor. Thank you. We met today, and before we met today, several of us on both sides of both subcommittees talked privately about it one-on-one. And today what we came up with were some additional compromises which we will recommend to the council. The first is, if you recall, in the ordinance, the original ordinance, there was some language that were citations from previous cities' ordinances and some legislative findings. We decided that we should strike that language because it didn't bring anything to the meat of the matter. It was just references to two studies. Secondly, we suggest to the council that the distance that is smoking is allowed from the entrance to a facility, to a business, be increased from what was originally in the first revision, 20 feet to 30 feet. Third, we struck the language which allowed 10% smoking rooms in hotels and motels in the city. We thought that that was setting aside one set of businesses to allow them to have 10% smoking, and my subcommittee argued that if you allow hotels and motels to have 10% smoking, then I would argue that restaurants should set aside 10% of their space. So we thought, for consistency's sake, we would ask that be struck from the proposed ordinance. Fourth, we reached an agreement, a compromise, to include a minimum fine for the first-time offender of $50. That will be in the hands of the city court, but that's our recommendation. And finally, this is just a general concern from my subcommittee. We're just in general concerned about the practicality of enforcing the ordinance. The language is written, the language will stay in there for the most part as is, but from a nuts and bolts practicality standpoint, my side is confused on how that is going to be enforced. Jeff?
A lot of compromise took place with this ordinance in the two meetings, and I don't think either side will ever be completely satisfied or happy with the way it ended up. However, I think a lot was achieved, and I think a good ordinance is going to be placed in front of you guys, and but from my side of the committee, we would urge you to pass that ordinance. Everything that John said was accurate. I really don't have anything to add to that.
I would want one clarification again for the council. Did you spell out the amount of fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First time offense, $50 we recommend.
Okay. All right. With that said, do you have any further things to add?
Just one thing, Council, I think I can speak for all 10 members of the task force. We'd just like to thank you for allowing the task force to be formed, for forming the task force and allowing the citizens to have some input into the ordinance. And this was in spite of it being a contentious issue, the task force, I'm happy to report, worked well together, and the art of negotiation requires some compromise, and as Jeff said, neither side walks away totally happy, but you will receive our recommendations after the city attorney writes those up.
Thank you. Ms. Drake, you have any questions?
No, I was there at the meeting. I appreciate all the hard work and efforts and compromise on both sides. And I know we cannot make everybody happy. We just have to think of the health and well-being of our citizens in Paris.
Thank you. Mr. Frierson?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Dr. Grossnickel?
Well, I too appreciate the committee's ability to iron out a compromise. But part of the reason that was possible, I think, is that the committee was formed of half pro-smoking or freedom to smoke, and 50% strongly against all smoking. And I think if the numbers of the population were actually reflected in that committee, maybe the outcome would have been different. I think maybe eight members pro-smoking would have driven a harder bargain, particularly in the realm of the bar area. I mean, I think it's wrong to exclude the bars, and I would still ask that while we're making these final changes that we add the bars to the non-smoking areas. I think eventually that's what we'll do. It's just a question of how soon, and why not do it now and be done with it. So that would be my recommendation and wish. Thank you.
Ms. Lancaster?
Well, I really appreciate how well y'all worked together and tried to come out with a fair ordinance for everybody, which is pretty hard. So I commend you on your efforts.
Mr. Jenkins?
I have no questions, but I appreciate your time and effort.
Mr. Wright?
I appreciate the committee's work, and it's apparent that nobody got everything they wanted, but the American way is to live to fight another day for what you really believe in. Thank you.
I want to say the same things. First of all, that I appreciate all the time and effort and the patience and what both the groups showed. And I understand Dr. Grossnickel's concerned completely, but if you read the paper, there's people are still complaining on the 50-50. But anyway, I appreciate that a lot, and we've tried our best, and I was very happy that at least all of you came to an amicable solution. There was no perfect answer, and I think we all realize it as citizens that not speaking as a mayor, not speaking as a doctor, I don't think there's a perfect answer to this. I truly believe in our rights. I think the beauty of this country is the fact that we have our rights. But by the same token, democracy holds true over here. And so I'll go with all the democratic principles. And so the other thing that I would like to add is, if I was to disagree with the committee's decision, then I should have, and the council should have never formed the committee. So I'm going to completely stick by what the committee has decided. So I'm going to differ with Dr. Grossnickel on this one. But I'll say that I'm going to buy into what the committee has recommended, and I'd like to propose to the council that whatever changes that you have submitted to the city attorney, that they be included and they be brought back to the council for a final approval, but for the council to give a tentative approval based on that. Any questions by any council members? Do we need to wait on the motion on this?
Yes.
Till you have brought it back?
Bring you back the clean version.
Okay.
With today's changes.
Okay, so we will put it back on the next agenda for
20.
Okay. But it'll come out precisely as the two sides have agreed to.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's a matter of putting it through and signing it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much again. Item number 13, appoint a member to the Library Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term. We need to appoint a person to fill an unexpired term on this board. We have 2 applicants, and they are Carol James and Daisy Redding. It is my understanding that they are not at the meeting tonight. Is that correct? That is correct. The applicants were in our packets, and both applicants have excellent qualifications to serve on this board. The floor is now open for nominations. If anyone of the council members want to make a nomination.
I nominate Carol James.
Let me just see, Carol James. Any other nominations on this? No. I'll take a motion on Carol James.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Actually, we don't even need a second for nomination, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. So Carol James is appointed to the council. Item number 14 is receive and discuss annual report and plans for the utility department. I want to say one thing before we start on this, and that is, if we remember in the years gone by on the budgets, I was probably the most critical on it, that we didn't get to hear the department head. So I want to thank you that this time we are hearing the department head. I hope you've not twisted their arms in what they can or cannot say.
I just told him not to talk about money tonight.
Okay, but anyway, I'm happy about that we are hearing about future plans and development. So with that said, Mr. Harris is on today. All yours.
Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to come up and give you a very brief overview of the Department of Utilities. Now, this department is comprised of water production, wastewater treatment, and lift stations. Now, tonight I'm going to begin with the smallest in manpower, which is lift stations, but by no means does that indicate that they are small in responsibilities. So this first slide, you're going to see just a very brief description of what lift station subdivision is responsible for. And if you have any questions at the end of this slide or at the end of the presentation, please by all means ask me. One thing I do want to point out, a 3-man crew is responsible for 18 lift station facilities located throughout the entire city of Paris. So keep that in mind, please. John, next slide. Here are some of the highlights that are attributed to Department 87 lift stations in the past year. I would be remiss if I did not point out the excellent service that not only the lift station crew, but volunteers from water and wastewater treatment provided to the citizens of Paris during the ice storm event at the first part of December. This 3-man crew worked 24 hours straight from a period of Thursday evening through Tuesday of the next week, with very brief periods of rest during that time. So again, I would be remiss if I didn't point that out to you and commend them for the work that they performed. The second highlight I want to point out is we completed a three-phase electrical power upgrade to Oak Creek Lift Station. And lastly, they've made a number of improvements to the access roads and lighting improvements at 6 of the 18 lift stations facilities. Next slide. This is kind of the roadmap of where we plan on going. These are the priorities for lift stations themselves. At some point, we need to have either backup power or portable pumping capabilities at each of the 18 lift station facilities. And there is going to be a price tag involved with that. Second priority is going to be replacement of 2 pumps at our Eastgate lift station facility, and we're estimating that cost to be around $15,000. Next one is going to be application of protective coating for the wet wells at Stone Ridge and Toco lift stations. And what this is, it's an epoxy coating in the wet well that protects the concrete from chemical erosion. And the cost estimate for that is approximately $30,000. And lastly, we're looking to make some major improvements at our Southeast lift station. Southeast is one of our oldest and largest lift stations. There's a lot of flow from that part of the city that goes through this lift station. Now we're currently working with Hayter Engineering, who is developing engineering recommendations for either rehabilitation of Southeast lift station or possibly construction of a new lift station at this location.
Mr.
All right,
Harris,
John.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second.
Sure.
Mr. Wright has a question for you.
Yeah, this lift station at Toco, do we take their sewer?
Yes, we do.
Is that an arrangement that they pay for, or how do you do another incorporated village?
Councilman Wright, that was set up long before I came around, so I don't have a good answer for you at this point.
Mr. Anderson is coming to help out.
The city has had an agreement with TOCO to treat their sewer dating back, I think, to the 60s. It's been upgraded a time or two. The last time it was probably upgraded was in the 90s when we looked at the rates that were being charged, but it was a deal the council approved many years ago.
Is that a fruit-bearing mission?
Not really. It's more, it was a deal of practicality as best I recall. I haven't read the agreement in a while, probably since we upgraded it last time, but it was, for whatever reason, the council opted to do it.
I was just wondering why we do it.
I can provide you a copy of it if you'd like to look at it, but it dates back, like say, 40 or 50 years.
The reason I asked, there's been questions about why we take sewer out to the airport where people are paying taxes in the city, and those people out there don't pay taxes in the city, but yet we give them service. Doesn't add up.
Well, of course, taxes aren't involved in treatment or collection of sewer. It's strictly a matter of rates.
No, but they're citizens.
Continue on, Mr. Harris.
And Councilman Wright, actually, when I get to the wastewater treatment division, I would like to point some things out when we're talking about TOCO lift station itself or the municipality of TOCO. Moving on to water production, again, there's a breakdown of what we have as far as staffing in the water production side. Tells you right there, our plant is a 36 million gallon per day plant. Primary source of water is Pat Mays. Secondary source is Lake Crook. It also tells you some of the other areas that water production is responsible for. Next slide, John. Some of the things I want to point out that have been completed in water production during the last budget year. We have completed rehab of East Elevated Water Tower. That's interior and exterior, so we're glad to have that project completed and behind us. We're at the finishing stages of upgrading our SCADA system, which is the computer operation of the water treatment plant itself. And what we have done is brought the operating system for SCADA up from Windows 95 to Windows XP. Windows 95 was just to the point where we couldn't get any technical support or service for that anymore. That was a rather important improvement that we have made in water production. We're at the end stages of revisions to our water conservation plan and drought contingency plans for the city. That is a 5-year requirement through the state of Texas, and probably within the next 2 or 3 council meetings that will be brought to you for approval so that we can submit those plans, those revised plans to the state. The other major highlight I want to point out is installation of pneumatic valve actuators in our filter gallery on our 10 mixed media filters. We have transferred from hydraulic actuators to pneumatic, which has made improvements in the amount of water that pools up in the basement, which in turn reduces humidity, which in turn reduces corrosion in the filter gallery. So, next slide, John. And this is what we would like to do in water production side, and again, we'll bring these items back during the budget discussions. But the top priority is going to be rehabilitation of the 10 mixed media filters. For all 10 filters, we have an estimated cost of a little over $1 million to completely replace from under drain up to surface wash. So to alleviate the cost during the budget year we plan on phasing those in at 2 filters per year over a period of 5 years. So for fiscal year 2014-2015, we're looking at requesting approximately $300,000 to complete 2 of those mixed media filter rehabilitation. Second is installation of motor soft starts on 3 of the pumps at our Pat Mays intakes. One of the priorities is to be able to increase our pumping volume from Pat Mays intake to the water treatment plant itself. We're currently limited by the size of the pumps and the ability to only run 3 of 4 pumps that are existing out there at one time. So that is 27 million gallons per day is what we have the ability to pump right now. If we are successful in installing soft starts on the other 3 motors at Pat Mays intake, that will increase by 10 million gallons per day, so that will bump that figure up to approximately 37 million gallons per day from Pat Mays. We currently have water rights of 55 million gallons per day for Pat Mays Lake. Next, okay, you get a little bit ahead of me, John. We're looking for some additional valve replacements in the filter gallery itself and the sedimentation basins, and the cost estimate for that is going to be about $100,000 per year. The last item, or the last priority on my list this evening, is going to be a request for at least 1 additional maintenance personnel in the water production side. And the reason for that is, as you have aging treatment systems, O&M is going to increase as well. Now, if we are successful in having an additional maintenance person added to the water production side, this will allow us for more projects to be completed in-house than have to look to outside contractors to complete work that needs to be done. All right, John, next slide. And last, but certainly not least, is wastewater treatment, Department 86. Again, there's a breakdown of what the number of staffing that we have at the wastewater treatment plant currently. Our current existing plant is a 7.25 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant. And we're also responsible for the master lift station and for our biosolids land application side as well. Next slide, John. Here are some of the highlights that I'd like to point out that have been completed. Replacement of the discharge line to the drying beds, replacement of aeration disc on the orbital channels, operating and maintaining a very old treatment plant while maintaining discharge permits. Okay, I can't stress that to you enough. Okay, the wastewater treatment plant, it gets older every year, which means that at some point we're going to have to make a decision about which direction we're going to go with the treatment plant. Now, this item is a testament to the abilities of the operations and maintenance staff at the wastewater treatment plant, that they are able to keep this plant within permit limits day in and day out is a definite testament to their abilities. And again, this is something you should be proud of, not only as a city council, but as citizens as well. And the last item I want to point out, we have completed advertisements for statements of qualifications for engineering firms. That's one of the top priorities we're going to be looking at for the next budget year. But we have completed those, we have opened those, we have reviewed those, and I am in the process of scheduling one-on-one interviews between city staff and these engineering firms that SOQs we have received. Next slide, John. Top priorities for wastewater treatment plant. Again, I refer back to what I just said. We intend to select and contract with an engineering firm for the design phase of a new wastewater treatment plant. And based on information in the statements of qualification and talking to other engineers, we're estimating that cost to be about $2 million. Now, this will be phased in over 2 budget years, so it's still a rather large chunk of change. But again, these are things I will be bringing back to you during our budget workshops later in the year. Second priority for wastewater treatment plant is replacement of the influent line from the master lift station to the wastewater treatment plant. Specifically speaking, this is to reduce influent infiltration, which dilutes the waste stream into the wastewater treatment plant. Estimated cost for that is around $85,000. Item number 3 on the priority list is replacement of the digester aerators in our ATAD system, and that's how that system works. Okay, it's an aerobic digestion system, and estimated cost for that is $56,000. And last, and again not least, is I will be requesting an additional maintenance personnel for the same reason as for the water production side. Maybe even more so on the wastewater side, but again, I want to really hit that point home. You're dealing with a very old treatment plant. So again, when I said we're going to have to decide which direction we're going to go, we either need to proceed with construction of a new wastewater treatment plant itself, or be prepared to input a lot of capital expenditures into the existing plant that we have. Okay, John, last slide. These are just some of our goals, and of course for the water production side, our main goal is to provide reliable and safe water to the citizens of Paris, collect, transport, and treat properly wastewater, sewage. Second primary goal is the efficient operation of the water treatment plant itself, the wastewater treatment plant, and all 18 lift station facilities. And specific goals are to increase our pumping capacities from Pat Mays Lake and improve the reliability of our lift stations. And again, that will be through either backup generators or portable pumps for each lift station. And then for the wastewater plant, explore opportunities for getting to the point of having a new wastewater treatment plant. So that's my presentation for this evening.
Thank you very much. I'll start with my comments. First of all, thank you. Thank you for a good job, and all your staff that do a good job all the time. Having said that, I would really appreciate if in our agenda packets we could get these presentations please scanned in, so that we develop some more questions that come to our mind rather than at the spot. Having said that, if we can place this for future agendas, that would be great. I want to know, first of all, what is your current production
for
the
water treatment side?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're averaging about 13.5 million gallons per day.
What is the maximum you can do?
Our plant is rated at 36 million gallons per day.
And why do we not produce it? Do we not need to produce, or what is the issue?
It's all based on demand, Mayor. Just exactly what the industries are needing for their productions, and also on the volumes that the citizens are using in town.
What is the current usage by industry?
Current use by industry, I don't have a breakdown of those numbers.
Just ballpark.
Campbell Soup's using approximately 3 million gallons per day. Kimberly-Clark is much lower than that, and again, I don't have specific numbers, but Campbell Soup is our primary volume user.
What about Daisy Dairy?
Daisy Dairy, now, I'm not sure. I don't have those figures, what they're using. Do you remember the last billing cycle, Gene?
Okay. And what is the other usage, non-industrial?
The other users, such as citizens or wholesale users. The two wholesale purchasers we have are Lamar County Water Supply, and the other is MJC, Marvin Jennings Clardy, although they're not technically considered a wholesale user. Lamar County Water Supply would definitely be the largest volume user, next in line behind the industries.
The water that we supply to Lamar County Water Supply District, is that subsidized by the citizens who are in the city? So what I mean to say is that do we provide them water at such cheap rates that we have to keep the citizens' rates higher?
I don't have an answer to that question.
The answer to that would be no, Mayor. We're not subsidizing the That's one of the things that's determined in the annual rate study, is to make sure that they're paying their cost plus the excess over cost that's required under the contract.
Okay, so in other words, what you're telling me today is that whatever amount of money it takes to produce, say, a gallon of water, Lamar County Water Supply District pays us more than that. We make it profitable for us.
Yes, yeah. That contract specifically requires us to cover cost plus an amount over that cost.
Okay. The second question that I have is, go back to your slides on the water treatment plant, from the sewage treatment, wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
The place where it says $2 million in, that slide. Now, when you were talking about engineering firm to design this new wastewater treatment plant, have you thought about the location of this plant?
The recommendation from the engineering feasibility study that was completed in 2010, bottom line was to remain sited where the current plant is.
Okay. Now, we keep hearing that it's uphill that way and downhill that way. Is that just a hoax? Is it just rumor mill?
That's very true, and that is the reason that we have 18 lift station facilities in the spread out through the entire city of Paris, because you have to get the wastewater stream from a lower elevation to a higher elevation to get that to the treatment plant itself.
So why do we not think of putting a plant that way?
That question has come up numerous times, and that was also addressed in the 2010 engineering feasibility study. And there are opportunities to build an additional plant. There are some drawbacks associated with that.
And what would the drawbacks be?
Well, number one, you're not going to eliminate the need to make improvements at the existing plant. You are still going to have to input capital just to make improvements to the existing wastewater treatment plant. Secondly, you're going to have to think about additional personnel to staff a second treatment plant. Also, consideration will have to be given as far as rerouting collection lines to an additional plant, or to just completely getting away from the plant that we have now and moving it to different locations. Those are three of the primary concerns and factors that would have to be taken into consideration before you either decided to relocate the existing plant or to build an additional treatment plant itself.
I was more talking in terms of building an additional plant, a replacement plant completely. Spend no more money on what is going to require a huge amount of expenditure anyway, and try to go to a site. And I would like to see what would be the energy cost saving. Yes, you may have to reroute, but you're spending a lot of money pumping it up. And I would like to see what is the cost involved if you don't have to use all that energy to pump it up rather than downhill.
Okay.
So these are some of my thoughts. Now I have some other questions, but I'm going to start with Ms. Drake and then come back and ask you some more questions. So Ms. Drake.
Lots of money in all of this.
Lots of money, yes.
And yeah, we've got a lot of tough decisions, whether it's us or a new council that has to make some decisions. I don't have any questions right now. My question was about a new plant and which way it would be more cost efficient in the long run. And so I think the mayor has asked you to look into that. So right now I don't have any more questions, but I appreciate all the information.
Mr. Frierson.
Doug, I don't have any questions, but thank you guys for everything you do, you and your crew, all the way around. Thank you.
Dr. Grossnickel. That was Dr. Grossnickel's subject, right?
Yes. Yes, and I do remember reading the Hayter Engineering study that discussed the options of having two plants, north and south versus north. But as Doug said, that they did recommend that we just build a new one at the north. So I guess a lot of these contracts are just the actual fruits of that study. So I guess if we paid for that study, we might consider strongly going with their train of thought, unless somebody really comes up with a better idea. But I'd like to echo what Matt said. I think your department's done an outstanding job maintaining that sewer, old sewer treatment plant. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you've done an outstanding job with what you've had to work with.
Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins?
I have no questions.
Mr. Wright?
With the new sewer lines and a lot less infiltration of rainwater, it's not going to make that current plant go to the Fountain of Youth or anything, but it is going to relieve the amount of gallonage that you treat out there.
Yes, if you're going to reduce your opportunities for influent infiltration, yes, you should see somewhat of a decrease.
My question is, how much infiltration do you think we're currently getting, and how much will we be relieved of with this replacement of the sewer lines?
John, if I gave you an answer, I'd probably be way off base, so I'm just going to tell you, I don't have a good answer for you, but I know some areas that I can look at.
I appreciate you not using a swag theory.
I told you I was going to tell you something a while ago when you were asking about Toco Lift Station, and I failed to do that at the end of my presentation on the wastewater treatment plant. But when we went out for statements of qualification from engineering firms for construction, design, bid, build of a new wastewater treatment plant, funding options was part of the criteria that we were interested in hearing just what kind of experience they had. Now, one of the firms, when it comes to applying for either low-interest loans or grants, has pitched the idea of regional treatment plants, and that gives you a larger number of points when you go to qualify for either these low-interest loans or these grants. And Toco itself was specifically mentioned as something that could be included with City of Paris when applying for these funding options available. So that's the part about Toco that I was going to mention to you a while ago when you asked the question earlier.
It wouldn't apply to other larger entities?
No, actually it would.
That are even closer?
Some of the other surrounding municipalities, City of Reno was mentioned as a possibility to consider bringing into a regional treatment plant. All those would need to be looked at, but Toco specifically was mentioned since we do have a lift station that services 75 citizens of Toco. They were mentioned specifically as maybe an opportunity for us to better ourselves when it comes to applying for funding for construction.
Is that 75 customers or citizens?
John, I'm strictly going by what's on the city limit side of Toco, and last time I saw it says 75.
So it's less customers than that?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm back to asking some more questions now. I did read that study by Hayter Engineering. I think I was provided a copy of that too. And now I'm obviously not an engineer and I don't have every word of the study by heart, but I did not see any kind of mention of the cost it takes in that study to pump or the energy cost in it. So I would, if you don't mind, I would go back to ask Mr. Hayter if that was included in it, and if it was not included. And I agree that we don't want to keep wasting money on study after study, but by the same token, if there is a significant change, then if it has to be restudied, it has to be restudied. The second question that I have for you is, how much water comes out of the wastewater treatment plant?
We're averaging about 3.25 million gallons per day.
Right now?
That's
Yes.
final effluent?
That's final effluent.
Is that effluent clean enough to drink?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Right now, what do we do with that effluent?
It is discharged into Hicks Creek, which goes to another tributary and eventually ends up in the Red River.
Okay. So we don't save that water? Do we have rights to save that water if we could?
Yes, we do. Now
I'm going to ask questions right now.
Okay.
Okay. My next question to you is that if there was a wastewater treatment plant built on the north side of town, could there be a facility there? Since water is one of the most important commodities and we are fortunate to have it, and probably it's one of the only big natural resources that the city has. So instead of dumping it into the Red River, if the plant was on the north side of town, could that water be conserved and kept for whatever different use? I'm not saying we need to necessarily drink it. You have obviously said that it is drinkable water.
Yes, it could be used for recharge purposes.
Okay. What is your thoughts? Is that a wild idea or a crazy idea?
No, it's actually not. In fact, I just saw within the last 2 weeks that City of Wichita Falls is doing exactly that.
Okay. All right. So I would sincerely think that at least we should ask Mr. Hayter or whoever you're talking to that what are the pros and cons, so that if we save, let's say 3 million, forget 500,000, but we shouldn't really forget, but let's say for arbitrary numbers, we save 3 million gallons of water a day. Over a 30-day period, it's 90 million gallons of water, which is a huge amount, which we could use for different purposes. If not for anything, maybe just irrigating our yards or something or the other. I would strongly suggest that, that is something we should at least look at it, particularly when we are talking about spending $2 million on engineering and maybe $40–50 million of a plant which will, again, I don't know the precise cost, but I would take that's round about the cost of a completely new plant. So
yes.
and I think that if we were to keep the plant where it is, the likelihood of us having that big a site to accumulate that much water, basically that's building a lake, is going to be hard to find. So those are some of my thoughts. Then one other question that I have for you is, future of cities is not based on 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. We're talking about 50-year plan, or particularly when we talk about water and sewer and things like that. So it may be a huge expense, but again, it's spread over time, and it is one of the services which is essential. What do you think is the lifespan of a water treatment plant?
Of a water treatment plant?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would necessarily need to set a lifespan for the entire plant itself, because you have so many separate components to not only a water treatment plant but to a wastewater plant as well. Let me use the mixed media filters. Okay, the life span for a mixed media filter is anywhere in the range from 10 to 15 years. Okay. Again, you're going to have to look at each separate component of the treatment plant itself.
So in other words, what you're telling me is that the water treatment plant is very different from the sewage or the wastewater treatment plant, where you expect a much bigger expenditure compared to water treatment plant, where parts of it can be continued to be replaced over time, and we would not necessarily need to replace the whole water treatment plant.
In some respects, Mayor Hashmi, yes, that is true. They are different. But now I would like you to keep in mind that since I've been with the city for 25 years, the water treatment plant has gone through 3 upgrades since I've been here. So again, you're not replacing the entire plant, but capital costs have been completed for improvements to the actual treatment facility itself, and that included a whole number of components of that plant. It just wasn't saying we're going to spend $10 million to improve the water treatment plant. It was addition of sedimentation basins, addition of mixed media filters. So again, you go through a series of upgrades based on necessity, based on need.
Okay. I'm going to ask the last question. I'm going to leave you alone after that.
All right.
The wastewater treatment plant is in bad shape, you said? I mean, it's doing a good job, but it requires a replacement is what your recommendation was, right?
Yes.
Okay. My next question to you is the amount of money that we keep spending on repairing the plant. If we were to have a new wastewater treatment plant, yes, we may have spent $30 million or $40 million, but isn't there savings on just like we talk about water and sewer lines where there is constant wastage?
Definitely.
So you will be saving some money on constant repairs.
Yes.
Will that also decrease the number of employees that you require?
That is a possibility.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Thank you. I'm going to ask other council members if they have any further questions. Yes, Dr. Grossman.
I have one. Can you were talking about using the effluent, which would actually be better than the raw, untreated water that's sent out to the Nextera Energy or whatever it is called, and on to Daisy Dairy. So is there a way that effluent could reach that pipeline system that exists without contaminating any directly our, treated
Yes,
water system?
that could be completed, but it's going to cost some money in order to have the ability. You're talking about construction of a pipeline from our discharge point at the wastewater treatment plant to the nearest tie-in location, wherever that may be for that. So, but yes, it would be a possibility. And the effluent, the treated effluent at the wastewater plant is cleaner than the water in either Pat Mays or Lake Crook.
Right. So I don't know if those companies could be, squeezed to try to contribute to those costs, since they're the ones benefiting from that system.
South would be even
Yes, and I mean, I think that's a great idea too. But the thing is, I just feel that we keep getting engulfed in one number of, say, $40 million and saying it's a huge number. But you know something? It may appear like a huge number, but in the life of a city, which is hundreds of years, you have to make some expenses. That is part of running the city.
Yes.
So, with that said, Mr. Frierson, your favorite item.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, did we miss item 15? Did we have any future agendas items?
I just we're going to try to reschedule your meeting with the Chamber of Commerce's Retail Committee for next Monday at 5:30, just like last Monday, but next Monday.
All right,
We'll
so
figure
now
something out.
your item. You've already
So
moved on second.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.